And hello everyone, welcome once again. My name is Logan and this is Decode Your Reality, and today I'm going to be breaking down and decoding a topic that I know many of you have been waiting for a very long time, myself included. This will be the Matrix Decoded, the 1999, notice 1999, the 999 in there, the cult classic starring Keanu Reeves and Mr. Hugo, who is Mr. Smith, the Matrix Decoded. And I notice I have a little character on there, and this is what started my decode on the Matrix. And we're going to get into that. Folks, I'm going to suggest that you get into a comfortable position. This one's going to be a lengthy presentation, but as I always say, it'll be well worth the time you invest. And my other suggestion is to put on a pair of headphones, earbuds or headphones, and block everything out and really immerse yourself in this presentation, because this, out of all the 100 plus videos that I've done, this one put me on the floor, man. I mean, this thing is just so chock full of amazing things to contemplate about how our world works. So starting off, here are the topics that we're going to be going over during this presentation. Starting off in the zero position, Space Invaders, the 1978 game. This is what got me started on this decode, was the classic game Space Invaders. Number 1, Tomohiro's Matrix. Number 2, High Scores Octopus. Number 3, The Architect and Machine. Number 4, The Good Place. Number 5, The Construct of the Matrix. Number 6, Creators. Number 7, The Komodo Dragon. Number 8, the 1988 John Carpenter film, They Live. What does that got to do with the Matrix? Oh, wait till you just see what that's all intertwined with. And then number 9, which is, I love to hear what you got to say, because there's so many great decoders out there, and I love hearing what you have to add on and bolt on to this presentation. I only see it through my set of eyes, and I miss a lot of things, and I also could include a lot of things that I don't, because the presentations would be like 4 or 5 hours long if I really wanted them to be, and the attention span just doesn't cut the mustard on that. So nonetheless, here we go. Let's start off with Space Invaders. This is what got me started on this decode, folks. I wasn't even planning on decoding the Matrix, but this is what got me started. I want you to notice, because you're playing an arcade game. 1978 this came out. And folks, if you look at it from layers, because I've said so many times man's being used, to what extent I don't know. But like, we're using the game, we're using the character, the ship in here to shoot the Space Invaders. You're controlling it with that joystick right there. Pressing the buttons. What's pressing your buttons? Is it too far-fetched to believe that we're being used to a certain degree? Is it too far-fetched? I don't think so. I want you to notice the word arcade. It's a 6-letter word, matching the total days of creation in theology. It's a 16 in numerology, matching the days of creation of theology 1 through 6. Stockade, arcade, stuck in a cage, The alchemology of it, which is taking the output of numerology, the 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 5, bringing that into the elements of the periodic table, and then adding these up using the trusty calculator, we get the number 33.056. There's that. What a strong number to start this presentation off with, folks. There's that 33. And when you add up 33 plus 056, it's going to give you the number 89, which is tied to the Gnostic demiurge, Yaldabaoth. And you're going to see this character throughout this entire presentation. It's going to blow you away. It really, really is. So that's what we're starting off with. Notice the word video games, what we play on the screen. Video games. Are we in a game? It's called the game of life. And you're playing it. I'm playing it. Notice the subtleties. Video is a 23. That's tied to the word crown and blood and history. 23 is tied to the letter W, the triple crown letter. Can fit 3 crowns on the letter W. But notice it's a 39 for its total output. That's a direct match of the 39th element, yttrium. And of course, there's that magical 88, time travel. So many big things it's connected to. It's insane. And then, of course, there's that letter Y. Remember, Skull and Bones, what was the college that everybody goes to? Yale. The letter Y is their logo. Now you know why, folks. I can guarantee you that's why. I'll bet my ass that is the reason why Yale is tied to this yttrium. And Skull and Bones, when you do the numerology of it, it's 39. Just like the word Microsoft, but it's for a different story. And then we go into the string of pi, and that's why, listen, the string of pi, you can only measure it one way. That's it. So you get rid of the ridiculous million ciphers there are, and you just go into the string of pi. Connect your numerology there, and you're going to get a bigger, more detailed aspect of the story that we can tell ourselves. And notice, the 39 appears at the 43rd and 44th decimal digit of pi. That's the number 87. You're going to see that 87, so hold on to your hats for that one. But notice in the medicine cards, the 52 cards in the medicine deck, they show animals and insects instead of symbols and whatnot to express themselves. And the 43rd card is the spider card. The spider spins its web. It's all about illusions. If you go read about the spider card, it's all about illusions. Spinning the web. That's the World Wide Web related to video games. It's all digital. And that's what that 39 is linked to. So this is what started it for me. I was watching the documentary High Score on Netflix. I was a big video game junkie growing up as a kid. I wouldn't say I was a junkie, but I played a lot. And this was one of them. It's a cult classic game. Notice Space Invaders is that notorious 47, tied to the Tetragrammaton, tied to Washington, D.C., tied to White House, tied to Georgetown. A lot of big titles and nouns and names linked to that number 47. The alchemology of Space Invaders, the 13 letter that it words, it means death. That's the death card. There's the subtleties. 13 in the tarot is the death card. What are these Space Invaders are trying to kill this little pod here, trying to shoot them all up. That's the objective of the game. This is a shoot 'em game. It's very fitting. Well, the alchemology, using the trusty calculator with all 13 elements on the periodic table matching the letters and numbers, you get the number 98.109. Now, 109 is the 29th prime numbered. If you've been paying attention to my research, 29 is Yaldabaoth. The number 98 is also tied to the number 89. It's mirror, and 89 is Yaldabaoth. Let's keep going. I thought this was fascinating. This game, and we're going to get into the developer here in a minute, but this game uses a CPU called the Intel 8080. How about that? There's that 88 hanging around again. Which, again, this Intel company has nothing to do with numerology and pi and all the numbers we've been showing. You think they're sitting down and we got to call it the 8080 CPU because, it's got to be tied. Maybe they named it the 8080 to tie to the 88. That's possible, but I still think man is being used. And remember, folks, we're talking about a central processing unit. That's inside video games to make that a reality when you go into that screen that you pay attention to. It's fascinating. And here's the guy who invented Space Invaders. Tomohiro Nishikado. Born on March 31st, 1944. There's his birthday right there. What's fascinating about this, folks, is that is the 5 clubs card. That's his birth card, the 5 clubs card. And this is what, again, it brings me to the Matrix. You see, the Matrix, the movie, was released on the same exact day as this guy's birthday. Except it was in 1999. And if you take 1999 and you subtract 1944, you're going to get the number 55. Which is why I have the element iron right there. Because iron has an atomic mass or weight of 55. And we're going to be getting into this a little bit more. Notice his name in numerology is a total of the master number 66. And that's tied to the element dysprosium, and that element means hard to get. So if you kind of understand or understand what that means, hard to get. It's hard to get. Trying to get after it. And it's one number short of 666. It's the compound master number 66. Some subtleties. His first name, 37, that's the Jack in the Box card. And his last name is tied to Yaldabaoth. Nishikado is 29, that is Yaldabaoth. Some subtleties as well. The 18th card of the 5 clubs tied to Argon. Argon. And this, Jesus equals 18. Christ equals 18. And there's that Argon. And Argon is interesting because it has an atomic weight of 39. That's a match of the 39 protons in yttrium, which is tied to the 88. Tied to the 88, folks. What about the actual Matrix title? What about the alchemology of the Matrix? Notice, it's 2 words and it's 9 letters. That's the mirror of the 29. That's Yaldabaoth in the mirror position. The 92. When you do the alchemology of the Matrix, there are the 9 letters making up these 2 words. Going over to the trusty calculator, there's that master number 66. And, we just showed that with this guy's numerology. So, obviously, think about this, folks. The guy has the same freaking birth card as the actual release date, the birth of the Matrix. And the guy's numerology matches the alchemology of the words of Matrix. Got to start using your common sense and logic, folks. Everything's fixed. This game of life is rigged. People are being used. Then we get into the medicine cards a little bit more. The release date and the founder of Space Invaders sharing that 5 clubs card. The 18th card. The 18th card in the medicine deck is the Lynx. And when you go study that, now remember, we're talking about the Matrix. Lynx is the keeper of secrets, of lost magical systems and occult knowledge. It's not the guardian of the secrets, but the knower of secrets. So what does that mean to you, folks? We're talking about the Matrix. The keeper of secrets? That's what this is tied to. Right there. Tied to the Christ. The Jesus figure. Whether that figure's real or not, the idea makes it real. So this is really, again, this is what got me started on this decode. This documentary called High Score. And what was fascinating about this, folks, was the story behind it was this guy who was, the inventor, Tomohiro. He was talking about how he could make people spend money on playing the game over and over. And he was talking about slipping these inside the slots. I mean, as kids, we'd put quarters in there. Well, this is all originating in Japan. And if you've seen my decode on blood types, it sure seems like the origination of our human existence might have started in the country of the rising sun, the Japan. Praise Japan. Japan. Tied to the 113. And we're talking about the introduction of one of the most famous games on the planet. If you know video games, Space Invaders, and this whole thing is wrapped around the yen. Because this is what they were sliding in the slots. This guy's like, hey, that's why they have it on the screen here. This is a screenshot of the actual documentary on Netflix. The yen. Notice the yen is a 155. It's an 11, the number of magic and alternating current. 11 is tied to the 89 because it's the 11. 89 is the 11th Fibonacci number. 89 is a double. Well, it's a prime Fibonacci number. Strong number, and it's tied to Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth's 89. And then when you look at pi, look where the 155 sits at. At pi itself. At pi itself, folks. So the 11's tied to the Fibonacci number, which is tied to the prime number. Remember, we have the chromosomes, chromium, the 24th element, chromosomes. I wonder who made our chromosomes or had a say in that. So this is another screenshot off the documentary High Score. Right here, this is a screenshot. I took a picture of it. Look at these characters. This is where he got his Space Invader characters from. And look what he says. This is why I did this decode. I drew a monster like an octopus. I drew a monster like an octopus. So let's decode Octopus, right? Shall we? I already did a decode on Yaldabaoth. The Gnostic Demiurge, they claim, is running this matrix. Harvesting your energy, keeping you a prisoner. Octopus, perfect number 7. 7 letters, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 chakra points. It's a total 38 tied to the Queen Diamonds, but there are the alchemical elements. Then we go over to the trusty calculator and add those up. Look at what we get. 79.045. It is gold. Now, folks, if you really look at this, okay, what is alchemy? It's turning lead to gold. And if you study the Anunnaki, they're harvesting for gold. And when you understand it from an esoteric point of view, are we being harvested for gold? And gold being moving up the ladder. Because when we come down the flash of creation, if you will, when we're born, we become lead. Physical. And then when you leave this place, you turn into something else, which is obviously sublimation or ascension, something to that effect. Are we being harvested for gold, folks? I mean, this is a big deal right here. Octopus in the English is a 109. And the 109 is the 29th prime number. I mean, are you freaking kidding me? The 29th prime number. There is the direct connection. That's why I love using these two numerology ciphers. English is 1 through 26. 26 is 8, and Chaldean uses the 1 through 8. That's why I like using these two. But look at this, is crystal clear. That's why you got to bring in primes, Fibonacci. You can't just rely on numerology and think you got it figured out. If you were to take this away, and you look at this 109 and 29, it has no meaning, no correlation. But here is the bridge to tell you, there it is. There's the answer I was looking for. Bingo. And he said, I drew a monster for Space Invaders. The word monster, which is linked to Alice. The word Alice is 30. The rabbit card going down the rabbit hole. The word monster's 30. 7-letter word again. And in the string of pi, it appears the 64th decimal digit. 64 and 65. 64 and 65 starts at the 64, which is the GD element, which we could say is the God element. Could say it's the God element, but it's the monster. It's really fascinating. So now we get into Yaldabaoth. I'm going to get into, you got to bring him in this, or bring it in it. This, folks, if you haven't seen this ceremony, you should watch it. You want to talk about invoking and giving energy? This was a pure expression of that. The 2012 Olympics. Notice the color. I didn't change this. For Yaldabaoth was blue. Blue denotes the throat chakra, what I'm using to speak to you right now. It's the most dominant color in nature, and it's directly linked to the planet Saturn. Chronos, Father Time. They chose to use it in blue. There's the red, signifying the so below, as above, so below. Very subtle, but it's there. And I want to get, and I apologize, I don't remember who brought this up. Someone had posted a comment in my YouTube videos, I think it was, saying, hey, did you realize that octopuses have blue blood? It floored me, because I realized this was a huge piece of it all. So I thank and I apologize to who it was, but you know what? I give you so much gratitude because you are a big piece of this presentation. So thank you so very much. So I looked it up, and I studied horseshoe crabs a while back, and they drained the blood of horseshoe crabs, and it was blue. But it didn't dawn on me. And I didn't realize that octopuses have blue freaking blood. And the reason why they have blue blood, folks, is because they have copper in their system. Copper. And what is Yaldabaoth? 29. 20 freaking 9. And then when you come down here, humans, we have red blood. Why? Because we have iron in our blood. Iron. And there's that 55. And remember, folks, Tetragrammaton came on the scene in the Iron and Bronze Age. The 29 and 26. And we're going to be getting into this. It's going to blow your doors off. I showed this on my Boaz and Yachin decode. I wanted to bring this in quickly. Two of the elements in nature, magnetism and electricity, that equals the number 62. Notice magnetism's a 30, tying to Alice and the rabbit and all that kind of stuff. But, the element copper, which is Yaldabaoth's element, is 62 in its atomic weight. It has a couple, but 62 is one of them. And notice copper's 33. That's a match of Boaz and Yachin. These are the two pillars in Freemasonry, folks. And I've done if you haven't seen my decode on Boaz and Yachin, please check it out. Here are the 7 zodiac signs, and then the 5 would sit right underneath, giving you a complete circle. Maybe even down at this point right here. This is where we get stuck in this loop right here. Very possible. And then, Yaldabaoth's 29. Yaldabaoth's 29. Let's expand on that, folks. Remember, octopuses have blue blood, humans have red blood. There's the blue and red. We're on the lower point. The blue's on the higher point. Remember, Saturn's blue, Mercury's red. Mercury's the root, Saturn's the throat. The 51 is antimony, the all-seeing eye. Notice when you take 29 from the protons of copper and then 26 from the protons of iron and you divide them, look at the friggin' outcome you get. The damn 1.21 gigawatts, a bolt of lightning. Possibly telling us the flash of creation. Tying Kabbalah into this. Tying to Kabbalah into this. What about when you divide the two weights? 55.935, 62.930. Look at the outcome you get, folks. You get time travel. 0.88. Which is why I put this element in the middle. And there's the flux capacitor with the 88 showing on it, tied to plutonium. That's tied to the 86 and the 94. There's the Y right there, folks. It's clear as day what that is. And there it is, tied to Skull and Bones, 39. Microsoft, 39. You wonder why now they are tied to the 39? I mean, there it is. It's the contrast of as above, so below. And the transition period right there. I mean, that's what it looks like, folks. The transition, the 88, the electricity. So I wanted to show you this right here. This is the Boaz and Jachin again. And remember, Boaz and Jachin, the two pillars, were made of a brass or copper. Go read it. It's clear it's copper. Highly conductive of energy. The two poles. And these would make up the positive and negative, the anode and cathode, to connect a circuit. This is a battery right here. And is it too far-fetched that we're right there, and you have time travel there, and then what's kind of overseeing it all is the Yaldabaoth copper above us. And, you know, the two pillars, which are the anode and cathode, when you add up 62.930 plus 62.930, here's the Boaz and Jachin, you're going to get the number 125.86. 125.86. And when you add those up, when you add up 125 plus 86, you're going to link it to this number right there. 211. 211. And 211 is the 47th prime number. Linking it to this noun right there. The ancient Israelite God of the Bible, the Tetragrammaton. Tied to Washington, D.C., tied to White House, tied to Georgetown. Hell, even the word 47 equals 47, which is tied to Neptune and Jupiter. Neptune's the 7th planet, Jupiter's the 4th. The crown and the heart. Purple and violet. Violet and green. But the two pillars that perhaps hold everything in and are the positive and negative, when you add them up, it becomes 120, it becomes 211, tied to the 47 Tetragrammaton. I thought that was absolutely mind-blowing, folks. Mind-freaking-blowing. And when you take the protons, two coppers, the two pillars, Boaz and Jachin, to me tied to Yaldabaoth, harvesting the energy of this loop. 29 plus 29 is 58. 58 is cerium. And cerium, folks, is the puppet master. And I went over this in the Yaldabaoth Decode. The puppet master's 58. If you look at your phone right now, and you look at your dial pad, the 58's the middle pillar. Okay? The 58 is the middle pillar, and when you look at left-hand path, right-hand path, middle pillar. Which I believe is the reason why they smashed down the World Trade Center and created the One World Trade Center. Because it's a ritual, if you will, a dedication to the puppet master, the middle pillar, the 58. If you study Kabbalah, you're going to say, oh, there's, the 8, and that's tied to the knowledge, the secrets, the Doth. Perhaps. But the puppet master's 58. Make no mistake about it. When you go and bring the string of pi into that, 58's found in the 10th and 11th decimal digit. That's the number 21. It's a direct match of the 58 element because cerium equals 21. Folks, remember the Vatican equals 21. Who do you think's running the Vatican? Who do you think is running the freaking Vatican, folks? It's this Yaldabaoth character, which is just this tetragrammaton character. It's all one and the same. It's crystal clear. It's the puppet master running the show. When you go a little bit further, folks, when you take the 2 coppers, the 2 pillars, and then you add in the yttrium and the iron, perhaps indicating us and maybe how they harvest everything. This is kind of the midway point. You add them all up using the trusty calculator, you're going to get the number 270.674. And when you add that up, you're going to get 944. 270 plus 674 is 944. And look at what's found at the 944th decimal digit. 58. 58 is found when you add up all these elements involved in this loop, or what I believe to be the loop. Harvesting our energy. It's the puppet master. It's this character right there. It's what the Vatican is owned by. All religions pledge to it. Freemasons, it's all embedded together. Sorry. You may not like to hear that if you're a Mason, but that's the way it rolls. That's the way it rolls. Because if you're playing tribute to the Bible is all about the Yaldabaoth and the Yod-Heh-Vav. It's all the same. So you can say whatever you want. Call it a different name. Doesn't care. Goes by many names. But ultimately, it's taking all the energy. And this is Freemasonry right there, folks. That is the arch. With the zodiac signs. Notice Cancer at the very top. The crown. Cancer. At the bottom would be Capricorn. Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. The zodiac wheel. And we're all the animals of the zodiac stuck inside this loop. That's how I see it. So now we get into the Matrix. What's running the Matrix? The artificial intelligence. Notice, the architect scene. This is when Neo goes and visited the architect, this guy right here. Who created the Matrix? The architect is the 29th scene from the Matrix Reloaded movie. What's 29? 29's Yaldabaoth. I mean, folks, again, you got to use your common sense and logic and not brush it off as like, oh, it's coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidence. Nothing. They chose that because they're being used, giving it energy. Here are the two guys, folks. I want this one. These are the two guys, the two actors. Now, in the movie The Matrix, you have the architect, which is, this guy right there, who created the Matrix. And then you have the Deus Ex Machina, which in their story runs the architect. Like the architect comes second and the machine comes first, which is the computer. Is that possible? Or are they just one and the same? I want you to notice this is the actor playing out the architect. And this is the guy playing out the machine. The Deus Ex Machina. Which, remember, if you know Elon Musk, for a long time on his Twitter, he had the picture of Deus Ex Machina. And that guy's all about it. AI and all that. Trying to put something in your brain. And, that's a no-brainer. But again, folks, there's no way that they, and I say they, those that are making this movie, the Wachowskis are choosing these actors based upon, wait till you see I get into the alchemologist, it's going to blow your doors off. There's no way they would be going in and sitting down to this extent. It's not possible. Look at the birth. This is the two birthdays of these guys. The architect and Deus Ex Machina. 29 days in between their births. These are the real people they chose to play these characters. Yaldabaoth. Freaking Yaldabaoth, folks. 29 days in between their births. Not the years, just the days. 29. 20 freaking 9. So then you get into the Deus Ex Machina. Kevin Michael Richardson's the guy who was the voice. And you do his alchemology. I didn't put all the... I'm getting a little lazy, but I didn't put all the 22 elements there. Notice the subtleties. 22 letters. 22 is change, alchemy. The words dragon and Michael, they all equal the number 22. But look at what his outcome is. You can go and do and fact check it. His total outcome's 155.194. And 155, folks, is tied to the 64th element, which is GD, the God element. The God element, folks. Is this really what's running our world? Are we really just in a digital simulation and it looks and feels real? But really behind is just a computer. Just a computer. Look at their cards, folks. This is... You bring in the cards of illumination, and I'm not going to go into... If you're new to this, listen, there's 52 cards in a deck of the cards of illumination, 52 weeks of the year, 4 suits, 4 seasons. All of you that follow this research, you should know this by now. This guy who plays the architect is the Jack Hearts card. The Christ card. And we're going to be getting into the Jesus Christ character. Make no mistake about it. And this guy, October 25th, is the 10 Hearts card. Now, let me digress and show you this. So you know, go back here. He's October 25th. October, and the 25th card is the 10 Hearts card. There it is. And then this guy's September 26th, helmet. September 26th is the Jack of Hearts card. Okay, just so you know, this is the boilerplate chart to get, even your card is in you. You should look it up. You should know yourself. These are the two cards. And folks, if you know the number 10 is a special number because it's tied to the binary system. And in quantum physics, and then in the computer world, there is no 2, 3, 4. It's just zeros and ones. That's it. We're talking about the Matrix. 0 and 1. There is no other numbers. And this guy who's playing the machine that runs everything digitally has a 10 of Hearts card? How about that? And this is the 10th card. This is the 11th card. Which is why I have this binary number. You type this into the binary system, and this is what it would look like. 10 and 11. I put it here because, from east to west. If this story is true, and they're claiming that the machine runs the man, it would be 10 on the right and 1 on the left. Just like that right there. And the decimal number that's associated with the 1110, which is tied to the 11 and the 10 card, is the number 14. 14. And if you flip it and you do 10 and 11, it'd be the number 11, which is Yaldabaoth, because that's the 11th Fibonacci number, and that's tied to the 89. But I thought this was interesting because it's the Temperance card. The Temperance card. And that's the balancing, the angel of balance. Balance between these two energies. Is that what it means? 14 is the box that we live in. Chakra points 4 to 1, the heart down to the root. Very fitting there. But this is fascinating. The Architect, the Jack of Hearts card, the 11th card, which is the Justice card in the tarot. Let's go a little further. Let's go a little further. I already showed this. Let's get into the alchemology of Deus Ex Machina. Remember, folks, this is a screenshot of Deus Ex Machina. It's the color blue. I didn't impose this color. Blue denotes Saturn. Is Saturn the computer? Is Saturn the computer? And is Saturn Yaldabaoth? We know Saturn is Yahweh in the Yod. We already know that. That's a no-brainer. That should already be a belief in your mind. You should already know that. So they're claiming that the machine's tied to Saturn. 48's cadmium. It's a 13-letter word meaning death, because that's the death card. Here's the alchemology of Deus Ex Machina. Look at the outcome you get. 102.125. 102 is tied to the 45th element, rhodium. The Rosy Cross. Rhodium, through numerology, is a 29 and an 88. And there's that 29 again with Yaldabaoth. Now I threw this in there. You know who that guy is. He's tied to this right there, which is tied to the machine. Folks, he's not what you think he is. He's not what you think he is. I could come out with so much more on that. But I pick my battles. This one was clear to me here, folks. If you add up 102 to the 125, the masculine and feminine together, you're going to get the number 227. And that's the 89th element on the periodic table. Actinium. Very unstable, highly unstable element. 89 is tied to Yaldabaoth. Once again, Yaldabaoth. Let's go a little bit further with the string of pi. Deus Ex Machina 48. 48 appears at the 87th and 88th decimal digit of pi. And Kronos, Saturn in Greek, is 88. And the son of Kronos, the Christ, Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus, is 87. And there is the tie into the 48. Is this machine just the Father and Son tied together? See, I say the architect, and we're going to get into that, is the Jesus character, which we're going to get into the good place. That's why I had that there. Let me go a little bit further on these two here, making up the architect and the Deus Ex Machina. I thought this was absolutely fascinating, folks. Remember, the binary number 10 and one. The Jack of Hearts card is the 11th card. This is the 10th card. So 10 and 11, 1110. It's a 14 decimal number. 14's tied to silicon. Silicon is used to make computer chips, electronic circuits. It's a semiconductor. Folks, the Matrix is a digital system. And these two actors, chosen for their roles in the movie The Matrix, through the binary system, because it's computer, it's tied to silicon? This absolutely blew my freaking mind when I found it. And that's tied to Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is where it's at when it comes to technology. This is the so below on Earth. Could this be the as above? Not saying these guys, but the portrayal of the energy running the as above. Silicon Valley is a 42. When you break down the Silicon Valley with the architect, see, Silicon Valley is trying to be the architect of our world through technology. You could say it's an architect. And folks, look at this. How do you wrap your mind around this? This guy plays the architect in the Matrix, and it's a freaking 42? Look at this guy's name. This is the original name of the actor. This is his freaking birth name. And it's a match of the architect and Silicon Valley? Where we got the 14 from on their binary numbers of these two big characters in the movie The Matrix? This claiming that it made this? You know, and this is where we sit. Where our bones are made of calcium. And the architect runs our bones, created our bones. You could say that. You could say that. When you break down Silicon Valley, folks, Silicon's 23. That's directly tied to the word crown, tied to the word blood in history. Silicon. Silicon. That's why they call it Silicon Valley. Silicon. I guarantee you that's why it's called silicon. Because of this element right there. Tied to these two characters right there. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. Valley's a 19. Same as battery. This is a crown battery. That's how you would interpret this. It's the crown's battery. Valley's a battery. Crown battery. Running technology. I mean, this guy's name, Helmet, his first one is 27. That's a direct match of Jupiter, which is Zeus, which is the son of Saturn, which quite possibly could be the architect of our world. It's the heart chakra. It's green. Jupiter's green. The whole movie The Matrix is freaking green. The whole thing is green. Here's the guy's freaking alchemology, folks. How do you wrap your mind around this any other way? He's got 14 freaking letters in his name. 14. Matching that of silicon. Matching that of the architect and his full name, folks. And you think man's doing something? Man's not doing anything. His alchemology is an 87.124. 87.124. The architect of the Matrix. And in the Greek, folks, again, Jesus, Jesus, is 87. It's 80 freaking 7. So they're saying in this movie that the architect of the Matrix is Jesus. That's what they're saying. That is what they're claiming. When you go a little bit further, folks, you know that the father of Jesus is Saturn, Kronos. No one gets to the Father except through me. Yeah, hello. Father time. 88. 88. 88. 87. Father, Son. And I mentioned, his 27, his real birth name, Helmet, is a match of Jupiter. Jupiter is 27 in the Chaldean. It's 99 in the English. Why is the 99 important? Because as I decoded this, piano decoded, here's the inventor of the piano. Here he is, right here. His name matches up with, if you watch my piano decode, his name is the 99. Because it's 252. His name, this guy, the inventor of the piano, is 252. His alchemology, which is 99. Here is the alchemology of Tetragrammaton. 99. Which is why Einstein in the movie The Back to the Future, the dog is God spelled backwards. Einsteinium. Einstein. 99. Jupiter's 99. Clearly telling you it's connected to the Tetragrammaton. It's crystal clear. When you add up the guy's alchemology, folks, 87 plus 124, it's going to give you a total output of 211. And there's that 47 again. Tetragrammaton. And this is the guy playing the architect in the movie who created the freaking Matrix. How's that man's being freaking used to tell the story? Whether the story, I don't even know if the story's true. But in the software, it's true. In the software, because that's what's written in the software. You bring string of pi in this, 211, the 47th prime number tetragrammaton, it's found at the 93rd decimal digit, 93, 94, 95, but Saturn's 93. Tetragrammaton Saturn, folks. The Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, the Yahweh character, if you're a practicing Jew, you're owned by the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. Period. You're owned by Saturn. Period. If you're a Christian, you're owned by Saturn. If you're a Catholic, you're owned by Saturn. All of it is run by the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, which is quite possible the freaking Yaldabaoth character. All in bed together. There's no differentiation point of religions. They're all worshiping the same energy. You can call it whatever the hell you want to call it, but it's all taking the same energy into one form. All of it. Now we get into The Good Place. If you haven't seen this show, the first season's good. After that, it gets a little watered down. But the first season, I thought was phenomenal. The whole story of it, I completely resonated with. And I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it. But look at and there's a reason why I'm showing this. The Matrix release date, March 31st, 5 Clubs card. The Good Place, released on September 19th, 5 of Clubs. Now the creator of the show, he's a Jew. He's a Jewish guy. Jewish faith. And he's claiming the Jesus card. He may not even know it. Jesus is the son of Saturn. Look at the timestamp of these two. Separate. This one came out in 99, 2016. September 19th, March 31st. Here's the timestamp. Not using the years, just the time on the calendar. 173 days in between. 173 just so happens to be the 40th prime number. The 40th element, Zirconium, look at its most abundant weight. 89. What's 89 again? Yaldabaoth. So let's get into the good place. Here are two of the main characters. Ted Danson, he plays Jesus. He plays Archangel Michael. The creator of the show is Jewish. It aired on September 19th. Again, here's the card. It's the 18th freaking card. 5 clubs. The word Jesus equals the number 18. Jesus is Archangel Michael. Do you think these guys are sitting down with these cards and numerology and the actors? Wait till I show you Ted Danson. You think they're sitting down with all these modalities and mapping it out before they create the show? You gotta be out of your freaking mind if you think they're doing that. There's no way. Not possible. Even the word Christ is an 18. And when you tie it to the element of the periodic table, there it is, argon. And when you put potassium to it, that's the ark. The sun and moon, the ark of the covenant, it's the sun and moon. And argon is 30 freaking 9, which is tied to the 88. 88 piano keys. 88's tied to time travel. Tied to Chronos. Father Time. Time travel. The guy who plays Archangel Michael, Ted Danson, here's his real birth name. He was born on December 29th, what year? 47. What's 47? Tetragrammaton. Here's his card, folks. It's the 2 hearts card. The second card in the deck. When you bring in the tarot, the offshoot of the cards of illumination, the 2 of cups cards, cups means hearts, is the cousin card of this. And that's the 37th card in the deck. Right there, 37. And that's linked to the element rubidium. Rubidium's the 37th element. If you go study this, it's the electric eye. It's used in photocells. You could even say it's the sun. The electric eye. Note, it's the Jack-in-the-Box card, 37th card. Notice where the 84, the atomic mass of the 37th element tied to his card, where it sits in the string of frickin' pi. It's the number 18 and the number 19. That's tied to this character right there. 18 and 19, again, is the sun and moon card in the tarot. The Ark of the Covenant. Folks, are you seeing this? Are you really grasping this? Man is being used to entertain, to carry out an agenda. How else do you describe it? I came out with a post on this, Matrix the movie. Notice the 2 vowels in the word Matrix is AI. It's artificial intelligence. And then you got the MTRX. You can decode that as well, the consonants. But AI is a 1-9. 1-9. That's a match of the word battery. In the Chaldean, it's 19. There it is. This is what we live in. We live in a positive and negative world. The battery. And our emotions keep this battery charged. That's the way it works. All animals in this world, you think a lion running after an antelope, you think the antelope is not giving off some kind of fear energy when it's running for its life because the lion's trying to kill it? You bet your ass it is. It's feeding the battery. The fish that runs from the shark, feeding the battery. We live in a world of love and fear, positive and negative. You don't have to like it. But that's the way it is. I came out with this screenshot. I'm only showing this once. Only shown this once, I should say, and I'm only showing these two characters one time. Hugo Wallace Weaving, Mr. Smith, and Keanu Charles Reeves, Neo. And they both equal the number, their birth names. Their birth names! Their freaking birth names. Linked to the 137 in numerology, which is the 30 freaking third prime number? Are you kidding me? Tied to the crucifixion. Tied to illumination. And I believe, this is a no-brainer. Keanu Reeves' alchemology is 143. Neodymium has an atomic weight of 143. That's how he got his name to the movie in the Neo. I don't even know if they're doing it. They're just being used. The Wachowskis, whoever named him Neo, which just means the one. That's Neo is O-N-E. Neodymium is a magnet. Magnetic. 6 is the first perfect number. 0 is infinite potential. And I believe Mr. Smith is that element right there. Praseodymium. Praseodymium. 59. When you take 60 plus 59, you're going to get 119. The mirror of the 911. This means green twin. This guy had a lot of twins in the movie. Green twin. That's what the element means. You can tinker around with these weights, but the outcomes are crystal clear. Let's get into the founders of the movie. The Wachowski sisters, brothers, whatever. They're both transgender. I don't care. Could care less. Playing out their role just like you and I are. But this is just another nail in the coffin on supporting what I'm saying about man being freaking used. Their birthdays. Lena and Lily, Lawrence and Andrew, their original names. June 21st, December 29th. Here's the timestamp. 192 days in between their births. Notice the subtleties. 6 months and 9 days. That's the yin-yang, folks. How's that possible? You think their parents are humping on specific days to have these outcomes and they got to get it fixed? There's no way you could do that. It's not possible. Man is being used. Women are being used. That's the truth. Unless you don't believe in numbers and calendars and numerology in the car. Unless you don't even believe in any of this kind of stuff. Maybe you don't. Well, go back to being asleep. When you take the 192 days, we're going to get into that, but I want to look at their cards. I want to get into their cards. Andrew, Lily, 2 hearts, matching the architect. And Lena, used to be Lawrence, 9 clubs. It's the card of Saturn. Some subtleties, the 29, Yaldabaoth 29. So just remember that. Here's the big standout in case you didn't see it. 29. What's Yaldabaoth again in numerology? 29. Who's behind the Matrix movie? 29. So let's look at their timestamp. 192 days tied to the 77th element on the periodic table called iridium. That's the Greek goddess Iris, which is all about the 7 colors of the rainbow, which is kind of fitting since this is 77, the master number 77. The Royal Society of Chemistry decided to use the dragonfly for the icon of the element iridium. The dragonfly. And so we go into the tarot, and the 77th card, matching the 77 of Iridium and their timestamp, is the King of Pentacles. 77th card. That's a direct match of the cousin card, the King of Diamonds. That's the 39th card. And I've shown this so many times. 39 is Yttrium. The 88. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. The dragon, Lucy. And it got me into this right here, folks. The Komodo Dragon. The largest reptile on Earth. Now, if you study any of David Icke's stuff, fascinating guy. He claims that there are reptilians living amongst us. And guess what? If you want to, hey, Logan, what do you think? I think he's absolutely 1,000% accurate on that notion. The Komodo Dragon, folks. Notice the shape of its tongue. Kind of looks like the letter Y, does it not? So I was like, okay, well, let's look into the Komodo Dragon. So I did. They live on Komodo Island. And it's got a surface area of 390 square kilometers. 39. There's the Y. Look at the freaking coordinates of it. Beautiful area. 8.55 south, 119.45 east. There's a 119. When you add those up, you're going to get 128. Which is tied to this element right here. Xenon, the X. Possibly, X is the 24th letter in the alphabet. That's tied to the chromosomes. Chromium. Our DNA. Could our DNA be tied to the reptile? They do say we have a reptilian brain. Let's go a little bit further. Here's where you get into this movie right here. What year did this movie come out? 1988. Could have came out any other... Folks, it came out in 1980 freaking 88. And the movie's about aliens, reptilians. And you can't see them unless you put the special glasses on. And they hide. They hide. And it just so happens that this is the news state. This is the place where they're broadcasting a signal to keep you in a trance. They're broadcasting at Cable 54 news station, folks. A signal to keep you in a hypnotic trance. And that is 54. Xenon. Reptile. Reptile, folks. Komodo Island. Reptile. They live. Coming from the Matrix. Look at the release date on this movie. November 4th. The November 4th card, 3 diamonds. 29th card in the deck, that's Yaldabaoth. Donald John Trump, that's his birth card. By the way, 1988 it comes out. Look at the actual running time of the movie. 137. 137, you already know what that's tied to. Do you remember what the 137 is tied to? I sure hope you do. Look at this guy. He's born on January 14th. That's 114. Remember, This came out on 114. His birthday is 114. Look at what his birth card is. The Jack in the Box card. This guy says, oh, it's just a show, about Reaganism. And dude, this guy's being used to tell the story about what I believe to be the factual evidence of what's going on in our world. Look at these outcomes. This is the actual date it comes out. Has a numerology output of 66. John Howard Carpenter's his birth name, 78. The main star, Nada, in the movie, Roddy Piper, Roderick George Toombs, is a 78. 78 in the string of pies, found at the 66 decimal digit. And this has a 66 numerology of when the movie comes out. Remember, folks, 66 books in the Bible. Donald John Trump equals 66. Michael Richard Pence equals 66. The current Pope's full birth name equals the number 66. How much more proof do you need? Here's the 54 again, the cable 54, where they're giving out the signal to keep you in a trance. 54 in the string of pi, 191. That's the Wizard of Oz. That's what's telling you what's running the show. It's not man running it. And this is not a movie. This is real. This is telling you what's going on. So what is it that you saw during this presentation, folks? I mean, I go from Space Invaders to the Matrix to They Live to the Komodo Dragon. Do you see how they're all tied together? But they tell the story, folks, of what's running this world. Perhaps what has hijacked our world. And what is submitting a hypnotic signal trying to blind you from the truth. Don't get caught up in their web of lies, folks. Use your own discernment, your logic. Follow what you believe to be the truth in your gut. But is it possible that really the architect is that Christ figure? And that's why The Good Place came up with the Michael character and Ted Danson and all these. It's possible. But the Father owns the Son. And really the Father's where it's at. That's Chronos, which could be the machine behind everything, and it could be Yaldabaoth running the entire thing. So what is it you saw during this presentation? I'd love to hear your thoughts. A lot of material, a very long presentation. I had a lot of fun doing this one, folks, but I'd love to hear what you saw during this presentation. So that's all I got for today. My name is Logan. This is Decode Your Reality. Thank you so very much for watching.